Hello everyone. This video is based on true stories of people who posted on a forum called 5channel in Japan, translated into English and made easy to watch. Adultery. It is a shameful act of betrayal of one's lawful partner. Some of these women are helpless bums who get into a man's club to pay him tribute, have an affair, and then spend all their money on that man. The true story presented here is that of a wife who betrayed her husband and got into an affair with another man. Let's take a look at it right away.
Yesterday I discovered that my wife was having an affair with another man.
What's going on? Did you see that in front of the Love Hotel?
Immediately leave such a woman and find a new one.
Usually there's a time when I'm not home for work, but yesterday I was sick and had to leave work early.
Then I received a call at home from a young man who said, "Hello, it's me." I said, "Huh," and he said, "Oh," and hung up the phone. I found his cell phone number from the incoming call log, so I asked my wife about it, and she was slurring her words and making excuses, but eventually she got upset at me. She said I have no future. I don't really care about that, but I thought, don't give my hard-earned money to a guy who only dreams big and doesn't even work.
That was the reason he came to the forum to lament. He seemed really depressed.
In this case you can claim alimony from your wife.
I am now taking refuge in a cafe because she is losing her temper at home. I was going to take the day off from work today, but since I got the cell phone number, name, etc. of my wife's boyfriend from her cell phone, I will call them both up in the evening after I tell the company and consult my legal counsel. I know she will say I am cold, but my love for her is already cold. I will make sure they both pay for this.
It's adultery, so if the partner admits it, you win. I don't know if you can get alimony to the end, because there are those who don't pay even if they have a court order.
Thank you all for your encouragement and warm words. I called them up now. I didn't want them to say that I had locked them up or anything weird, so I decided to use a cafe where other people were present as a place to discuss the issue. I'm off to see them now. Looking back, it has been 10 years since I met her, and it has been 8 years since we got married. She is someone I have shared 1/3 of my life with through many things. I cannot completely throw mercy away for her, but I can't forgive her. If she was unhappy, she should have told me something, but I didn't expect her to suddenly commit adultery. Fortunately or unfortunately, we didn't have children, so we are in a lighter position, but I wonder if this would not have happened if we had. The legal documents were prepared by my legal counsel and are complete. I'll be no mercy now. Well, I'm off then.
Hang in there. Work super hard.
Apparently, his wife should not have offended him. He used to work for a finance company, so he is good at collecting money.
I'm doing my interim report from the bathroom right now. I met with them and logically questioned them for 20 minutes. I told them about the trial and her boyfriend got down on his knees. Their parents come at 5 p.m.
Interesting story with a lot of tension. I'm surprised the guy didn't run away though. I thought she was just a sex friend for him. Did he love her too?
Excellent, you are in debt collection mode. I know it must be hard for you, but hang in there.
Even if he did run away, you have his phone number and he's probably ready to go.
Debt collection, it's a tough job, isn't it?
Good morning. I am taking today off work to relax. Well, here are the details from yesterday and the rest of the story, starting with the part 1 met them. I went into the cafe first and sat down at the seat I had reserved by phone. Normally you can't reserve a specific seat at a cafe, but the restaurant is affiliated with my company, so reservations are possible. Then, about 5 minutes later than the appointed time, my wife and her boyfriend came. The man looked quite flustered. His dream is to become a top model, but I honestly didn't think he was handsome enough to flatter me. I hated myself for losing my ass to this. When they sat down, the man was talking restlessly to my wife and said,
"Your husband is annoying. I'm going to kill him."
And he was constantly checking his cell phone. His cell phone rang. He talked for a bit, then he hung up. Then he said,
"My friend just arrived."
I said, "What the hell are you doing?" To sum it up, he's going to beat me up and extort money from me. His friends enter the cafe. I don't know much about them, but they called themselves the Big Scooter of Shibuya. They are obviously delinquents in appearance, and they sat in other seats. Everybody is all here now. I got up on the spot to get into serious mode, which I had never shown my wife. They are both exclaiming, "I guess they can't be helped."
You're almost a Yakuza in finance, right? Don't dress weird.
My wife had this prejudice and I only wore t-shirts and denim to go work, but I was wearing my work suit at the time. By the way, in the 8 years since we were married, I never showed her my suit except at weddings and funerals. In addition, my specs are 185 centimeters, 6.0 feet tall, 91 kilograms, 200 pounds, second dan in karate, former rugby player, so my face and body are very tough. All back haircut, black double suit, gold badge, employee emblem on my chest that Yakuza usually attach. Certainly, I will look like a Yakuza from all angles. Then, after sitting down, I took out a tape recorder from the attaché case I had brought and turned it on, and put the divorce papers and the settlement in front of them. Now, please read this carefully and sign and seal if you understand. If you don't have a seal, you can use your thumbprint. Here's the settlement I gave them. 1. My wife moves out of my condo within a week. 2. Both the adulterer and my wife pay me 2.5 million yen as a settlement to me. 3. After the divorce is finalized, both of them are banned from within a 100-meter radius of my condo. That's it. The affair partner snapped. He kicks the table with his knee and yells at me, but that doesn't surprise me because I am also dealing with creditors on a daily basis. His friends do not even look at us. I purposely dress like this when collecting debts to avoid unnecessary distractions. Realizing that no rescue was forthcoming, her boyfriend suddenly became quiet. Meanwhile, I was having my wife fill out divorce papers, and they both froze, staring at the settlement papers and looking down at their faces. I began to talk to the two people who were frozen. What's wrong? If there's something you don't understand, I'll answer your questions.
No, I mean...
As I said before, if you don't have a seal, you can use your thumbprint.
No, it's not that. Why the hell should I pay for it? I have nothing to do with it.
My wife looks quite shocked. That's pathetic. I guess he insinuated that he would marry her and she paid him a lot of money. And he dumped her easily. I'll make sure to collect from my wife, but I'll give this little shit hell. A wife who is easily abandoned by a man. A man who is self-preserving. Both are still scum. The man is about to get up and leave. The coffee he ordered seems to be my treat. Then are you sure you want to break off settlement negotiations?
I don't care. Suit yourself.
I see. Since you are not willing to settle, you will compensate you for the damages. Let's settle this out of court.
What? So it's none of my business.
I hope that argument holds up in court. I put away papers, picked up my recorder and stood up.
Wait a minute. I can't pay you because I'm not working. It's pointless to go court.
Yes, I am aware of that. So as soon as the judgment is issued, I will file a request for foreclosure. If your assets is not enough, I can forcibly seize a quarter of the income you earn over the next 10 years. Of course you can't refuse it. Your employer will transfer the money to me, and you will be paid what is due to you minus that.
It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible.
What's impossible? You could make this kind of money with a regular job. There are a lot of ways to do that, like getting your family to help you.
I said it's impossible. My parents will find out, and I can't work. There's not a lot of work out there that's suitable for me.
What? What the hell are you saying? I grew up in foster care, graduated from middle school, and didn't have a choice of jobs. You say you can't do it. You can't do that. So what am I supposed to do? The man fell silent for a bit and then suddenly got down on his knees to me.
Please, please don't. I will meet her, so please don't.
Please raise your head. For some reason he looked up with a smile on his face. I guess he thought I had forgiven him. You get down on your knees to me and I don't even get a penny. Excuse me. I left the two of them and went into the bathroom to check my watch while reporting to the forum. It is time for my trump card to arrive. Oh, this story is still going on.
Good luck.
It's like looking at a manual for dealing with someone with a very bad attitude. It is extremely informative.
Good luck. I think it's already settled, though.
I left the bathroom and returned to my seat. Oh, is that over? When I said this, the man sitting in his seat with a tired look on his face rushed to sit upright on the floor. Well, what can we do? I tell him as I light up a cigarette. He blurts out something. I can't hear you. Please speak more clearly. I said a little more forcefully. The man fell silent. The silence continues for a while. The clock read 5:50 p.m. The doorbell rang and I looked to see an elderly woman enter.
What the heck are you doing?
What?
The man looks up and is horribly surprised. I called the company president first thing in the morning to tell him I was divorcing her and moving out because where I live is company housing. The president moved his junior staff to obtain everything from the phone number of the boyfriend's parents' home to a copy of the family register. So I asked his mother to come. Well, I haven't told her the reason why.
What are you doing to my son?
She argues with me. No, I didn't say anything. He's just doing it on his own. His mother urged him to stand. He really stood up and I said, "Are you going to stand up?" I asked, and he shook off his mother's arm and sat back upright. Well, have a seat. I asked the mother to be seated and handed her the settlement. In fact, I was having a hard time because your son wouldn't accept this settlement, and he was also complaining that he didn't want to go to court. When she finished reading the settlement, she asked,
What did my son do?
You'll have to ask him directly about that. She questions the man, but he just keeps quiet. My cell phone rang. I answered. It was my wife's mother. She arrived at the front of the cafe. When I went to pick her up, my wife's father was there too. I greeted them with a smile and showed them to their seats. They looked doubtful at the strange atmosphere.
Who are these people?
I said, well, don't worry about it. My wife will explain everything.
Amazing. I wish I had these negotiation skills too. If I were in this situation, I would just bark unnecessarily.
Apparently, her boyfriend and his mother are going through the dispute process, lol. I have strongest legal advisor, circumstantial evidence, and all other physical evidence. It is clear that in the end they will have to accept the terms I have offered in the settlement, but they seem to amuse me and I will report the outcome of that as soon as possible. It will only slightly increase the penalty they pay to my team, but just to be sure, I have ordered a copy of the other team's registration and cash flow. I am relieved because it seems that my company can loan to them.
You're a middle school graduate who grew up in a foster home and a former rugby player. I wonder when you were on the rugby team.
My wife and her partner, who are silent, their parents started yelling at them. I'm not good at hearing people yell. It reminds me of when I was a kid. So I decided to interject a little. I called my wife's name and her partner's name and said, if you will not say anything, may I begin to explain? They shook their heads, but their parents urged me on, and I told them the story of how it happened in a matter-of-fact way, without any of my subjectivity. Their parents blushed and paled during I explained, and when I finished explaining, they all fell silent. People arrive one after another, and the cafe becomes bustling with activity. I'm already ready. All that remains is to smash them. So what do you want to do? My wife's father opened his mouth.
You do not think of forgiving my daughter? Shouldn't a man be generous?
I don't think so. It's not about forgiveness fundamentally. Her feelings are more inclined toward the partner than me, so forgiveness won't undo that. I tried to talk to your daughter last night, but she told me that she no longer has any love or affection to me. Her father was about to say something, but I figured this was the place to go, so I attacked at once. Look at this, Dad. I pulled out my savings book. It is my personal savings account book in which I cobbled together a portion of my incentive pay, allowance, and bonuses. As you know, I grew up in foster care from the age of 4 until I graduated from middle school. The teachers are my parents and the children are my brothers and sisters. Your daughter knows that I continue to save for one donation each year to the orphanage in my hometown. I cannot forgive her for the 5 million yen she has put her hands on. If it was for a living, I didn't know she was using it for a man other than me. I pretended to hide my tears, held my eyes and stole a look at her father. Okay, this is working.
How could you possibly?
I don't have a choice. If he's going to be a successful model, he has to join an agency and take lessons. Otherwise, he says, we can't get married.
I heard slapping sound. The man's mother slapped him in the face.
What have you done? A model? You're just wandering around, not making any effort. You're living off your parents, but you're talking big. I'll be responsible for the money. So...
I refuse. I interrupted his mother. I want my money back from him. It makes no sense for you to pay us. The man's smile that came to mind at his mother's words disappeared instantly.
You're doing something that makes her cheat on you. It's because you're in such a Yakuza-like business. This is how poorly educated men,
I stopped the recorder and replaced the tape. Sure, I'm a middle school graduate, and my parents are gone. But you know what? An uneducated son from such a parent was not grown up to be a shit who steals money from people, and I didn't grow up like shit complaining about other people's lives. You know what's more important than education, and what's taught by parents and guardians? So, are you willing to settle? Or want to go to trial? Of course, in a court of law, your words now would be considered defamation and the money would be treated as theft. You guys can dream and talk about love and romance all you want, but don't drag me into this, okay? I smiled and spoke, then turned on the recorder. Well, what do you want to do? Settlement? A trial? There are only 2 ways to go. I will make no further concessions. I looked at her boyfriend. Oh, he's going to snap again.
You shut the fuck your mouth up. It's none of my business. It's none of my business.
Then we'll call it a trial. I answered without pause, and the man stood up and grabbed me by the chest. What are you doing grabbing me by the breast? Please stop violence.
Shut the fuck up. I'll kill you.
I looked around briefly and his friends were gone before I knew it. Maybe it was getting awkward so they ran away. This man was abandoned by them. They were smarter than this man. A perfect, friendless, this man. Well, no matter how you look at it, the man's side of the story was too bad. I got punched in the cheek and stomach. Sorry. That doesn't hurt at all. I grabbed the man's wrist as hard as I could, yanked him off by force, and put him straight back in his seat. Then I will also charge you with what you have just done. Any objections? He was done. The man's father then came, but the process remained the same. I had both of the man and my wife sign a settlement agreement with the amount blank that I had prepared, with an additional 1 million yen each, and his wife would pay me in a lump sum the following Sunday when she moved out of my house. The man loaned money from my company, his father as a co-signer, and mortgaged their home. As for their relationship, my wife's father made the adulterer promise never to approach her again, and he is being sued for marriage fraud. What happens to them is none of my business. Thank you all for listening to my story.
Thanks for your hard work. Please don't mistrust people.
I don't distrust people at all. My family and coworkers around me are good people, and the people on this forum are good people too. Honestly, I misunderstood this forum. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart.
It was hard work, but you did a great job.
I had the exact same thing happen to me a few years ago, but I was traveling for work, so I didn't have enough evidence, and I didn't have the environment for debt collection. I just had her sign divorce papers and that was the end of it. I was mortified to be alive back then, but now I've met the right person and am enjoying my life. We have 2 kids. Married life is not so bad. Enjoy your new life once you get settled.
Good work, after hearing what your ex-wife said.
I have no choice. If he wants to be a successful model, he has to join an agency and take lessons. Otherwise, he says we can't get married.
I knew you made the right decision. And what her dad said to you. It does make sense why your ex is so terrible because of her dad.
Let me report a little more. We have just officially divorced. I now have a bigger room. I decided on my next apartment today and I will be moving out by the end of next week. I have a lot of memories in this room. Also, as you pointed out, I was going to tell you how I feel now, but I'll stop. I feel like my happiness is somehow getting further away from me. Well, that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thus, he left his adulterous wife and sanctioned the adulterer exactly. As a financier, he was used to negotiating and had a very brilliant hand, but he is, of course, hurt. I hope he will live peacefully and happily from now on. Now, how do you like the story I introduced this time? He was a middle school graduate who worked hard and diligently every day. His wife betrayed him and spent money on her adulterous partner. It was a very cool story about his strength to beat them. Hit the like button and please subscribe this channel and leave your comment if you had enjoyed with this video. Thank you for watching and see you again.